So thanks so much for coming on the show today, Jade. Just for anyone that maybe doesn't know yet, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yes, hello everyone. Hi.
Mm.
My name is Jade and I'm the owner of a chain of salons called Nailco Nailbar. You may have heard of them. Our first salon was in Glasgow, centre of Glasgow on Hope Street, and we've since then expanded. We have a salon in Aberdeen and we have a couple of salons within Topshop stores, which we'll talk more about later. But that is me, that's who I am, that's what I do.
Perfect. And so when did you start the Nailco brand and what is it you done before then?
So I first bought a salon in Glasgow, the one that everybody now knows in the city centre, in July 2017, so coming up 3 years ago. Now, it wasn't called Nailco, it was a salon and had been like a good salon, like a well-known one in Glasgow for about 15 years. And I used to go there as a client. And I was just in there one day. It's a random story, but I was just in there one day and I said to the girls, like, I really want to buy this. And they were like, yeah, like it's not for sale. And I was like, yeah, I know, but like I really want to buy it. So who owns it? Like, how do I go about speaking to that person? So anyway, I then managed to get in touch with the owner, and then we had discussions about me buying the salon. At the time, the deal didn't go through, but she did say to me, when the time is right, and if you're still interested, I'll come back. And I always knew that she would. I always knew that I was going to own it. And then about 6 months later, she phoned me and was like, look, I'm ready to sell now. Do you want to talk about it? And then I bought it. So that's how it came to be. After a couple of months, I realised like the reputation and the brand that she had built up was good, but it wasn't going to take me or the company in the direction that I wanted. So I decided it was time to change names. That was where Nailco came from. And then we rebranded and relaunched as Nailco. Before that, my background is, I'm from Newcastle, as you can tell. And I was a shot girl in bars and clubs in Newcastle while I was at uni. So my dad had lived in Aberdeen for years, and he was really interested in the job that I did, and he thought it was great. And he was like, look, you should move up here and start a business, like doing like shot girls in bars and clubs. And I was like, Dad, it already exists, like you just don't know about it. And he was like, no, I don't think it does. So long story short, I did move to Aberdeen and I set up a business to provide shot girls to bars and clubs in Aberdeen. And then that moved and evolved to be throughout Scotland. And then I ended up living in Glasgow for that, and that was how I found out about the salon, and then I went to it. So my background was another business, but it was completely separate. I don't have any beauty qualifications. I'm not from a beauty background at all. I just really wanted it. I just had a gut feeling that it could be something really great.
That's amazing. That's totally amazing. So I guess the beauty industry is not where you've seen yourself at all then.
I don't know, like I think because I'm a bit like a bull in a china shop, me, so I'm not very good at, like when I was younger, like painting my nails or doing my own hair or makeup or anything. Like I'm not naturally good at that stuff, but I was always interested in it. So I think I maybe like had wanted an involvement in it, but it just wasn't like the path that I had gone down. But I think, like, in answer to your question, like, was it where I saw myself? Probably not. No.
Crazy. So so Nailco then, when you've decided that you wanted that salon and you rebranded, was Nailco like you thought just the first salon, or did you ever think that you did want to scale it and have more?
I think I always thought when I took Nailco, when I took the salon on, that I did want more. Now, when I started my other business, which is called Violet Ink, in my head, I always thought it would just be in Aberdeen. Like I didn't really plan for like a big expansion, but then that happened. So I think when you've expanded something, like you don't have a fear of expansion then, because a lot of business owners that I speak to are like fearful of like, oh God, like a second one, like what's it like? But because Violet Ink had grown throughout the entire of Scotland, I was never fearful of like growth. So I never wanted to just have one salon. Like the plan was to have multiple. That was definitely the plan when I took it on. But I'm in the luxurious position of being able to do that because I'm not the person carrying out the treatments. So I think it must be so much harder for people who are in the industry. They're the like brand, they're the service, they're the manager, they're the everything.
Yes.
So I think people in that position, like it must be so much more difficult to carry that out. But I wasn't, so I had the ability to just focus on expanding really.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody kind of says in this industry. Like, it's good being, you know, like the nail tech or eyelash tech, but it's like a business owner is just something else, isn't it?
Yeah, I really admire people who do both, because like it must be non-stop. It must be.
Yeah. So see when obviously as well with your other company as well, when you're looking at other locations, because obviously you're throughout as well, you're in Glasgow and Edinburgh, no, well Edinburgh as well, isn't it?
For Nailco, yeah, and for Violet both, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do when you think about the factors of a location? How do you
I think
pick?
for both businesses it was different. Like for Violet Inc, it was just kind of organic, because if we were working in some venues in Aberdeen, that venue, they might own a venue in Edinburgh, so then it kind of was a bit more like that. But as I said, I'm from Newcastle, but I've had links to Aberdeen for years and I lived there. So after I'd opened Nailco in Glasgow, Aberdeen was just obviously the next logical step for me, because my other business already ran there. I'd lived there, I knew it well. Also, unfortunately for Aberdeen, but fortunately for anybody who was trying to start a business there at the time, they had just had the big oil crash. I don't know if you so the premises that we have in Aberdeen, there is no way on the planet that we would have been able to afford that if the oil crash hadn't have happened. So at the time when I was thinking about a second salon, that was a factor, because I was like, right, I can go and get a building up there that is going to be a brilliant location, that's double the size, and it's going to cost us half the money. So that was a factor. But in terms of like, let's say I just lived in Glasgow, I had my salon in Glasgow, and I was thinking about where next, I think it's very specific to like the areas that you know where you feel comfortable. This might sound strange, but like there's some areas or cities that I just don't connect with or really like, and there's no real reason for that, but I wouldn't go and make that my first choice, even if it was like the busiest, people would spend the most money. Like I wouldn't. I think you've got to feel that it's like, I could see it there, I could see the business there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite good.
It doesn't really like answer the question, but I very much like, I basically think on how like I think, like,
yeah.
can I feel it, can I see it, and if the answer is yes, then I'll go with it.
Yeah, that's good. So for anyone working themselves then, what would be your advice if they're wanting to scale and build a team?
My first piece of advice is very different to because I was 22 when I started in like my own business, and I'm 31 now. So like in that time, I've learned a lot of things. The first piece of advice I would give to someone is, don't pressure yourself to think that that's what you need to do, because there's so many people who think that like in order to be successful you've got to have all of this stuff. That's not true. And I think also there's so much like beauty and enjoyment in when things are small. Like don't rush that, like live it, like be ready, and you know, be certain that you want to take that next step, because I think there is so much pressure on people thinking that they have to do it.
Yeah.
So my first piece of advice would be like, decide, why do you want to do it? Like, do you, and if the answers are yes you do, then you get a plan in place and you think about how you want to move forward. Now if you are going to be a technician as well and you're still going to plan on carrying out the services, then I would recommend somebody started with like a smaller team, maybe like coupled up with one or two other people.
Yes.
And then kind of grew it like that. If somebody was planning on being a full-time technician and owning a salon with 6 other people who they're going to employ, they're not going to be able to do it. Yeah. So something has to give, and that's not like by any means a negative thought or, you know, trying to dissuade anybody, but it's totally different being the person who carries out the services. The example I can give that I relate to is when I started Violet Inc. I was still doing short shifts in Aberdeen and I was trying to run it at the same time, and I quickly became aware that you just can't,
It
you
doesn't
can't
work.
do both. So if you were like a super talented technician, and you were really popular and had big waiting lists, I would maybe think like, okay, well, is that something I want to jeopardize, or is there other avenues I could go down? Like training's such a great one.
Yes.
You know, so you could move in that direction. If you were like, no, I do want to own a salon and I'm ready to move away from that and I'll just have to find the time, I really do think you can find the time for anything that you want to.
Yeah.
But it's different, and it's there's so much more to consider.
Yeah. I think probably when you just, as you were saying, like finding your why, and like if you focus on that, it probably drives you a bit more.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I do think that there's a lot of pressure on people to think that in order to be successful, like they've got to do more and be more. The reason I know that is because I'm one of those people. I'm never like satisfied. I always want to do more, and I always need to do something else. But for me, the businesses that I've created, I'm not the foundation of it, like in terms of the person carrying out the service.
Yes.
But if you are, it's a really tough one, because I guess you need to make a decision between like your like craft and the thing that you're great at and the thing that you love, and moving into a business side of things. Now it definitely can be done, but sacrifices will need to be made. And if someone was listening to this and thinking, well, I don't actually want to do that, like I want to be able to do still 40 clients a week, I don't want to give that up, then maybe think about, okay, well, is there something else that would allow me to expand, like training and or you know, master classes or things like that that can allow you to expand what you're doing, but maybe not in that
Not in that.
direction.
Yeah, yeah.
So much to consider.
Yeah, totally. So kind of adding to that, when if there's any salon owners that does have a premises, then thinking about opening a second one,
Yeah,
what would you say is like the things to take into consider then?
I think like I say, for me, it was Aberdeen, because I knew, like, so I knew I had a base of people who I knew there. Like, for example, for my other business, there's like 70 girls who work for my other business in Aberdeen. So I
Right.
was like, you can't really get a better start than that. And if they all tell someone, and they all, so I think it probably needs to be somewhere that you have a connection with in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
Uh,
good.
a lot of businesses or a lot of salons like might have two in the same city, and I think that's like a good thing to do, or a good way to go. If none of those things apply, then I would say geography is the most important. So like, do you really want to be traveling 2.5 hours, so like to Aberdeen? So say you're in Glasgow and you don't know anything about Aberdeen, you don't know anyone there, but you've heard it's good and
Mhm.
business is good there. Would it be logical really to go and do that 2.5 hours away?
Yeah.
Probably not, because you're going to have to be there.
Mhm.
um so geography, I think, is probably like an important thing, but overall, gut feeling's the most important.
Yeah.
If
So
it'll
then,
come, oh,
mhm. So then, a good management team then must be really
yeah,
good for you, especially when you're not the, you know, the beauty side of things as well. So that must be a good advice that you say to
of
people too.
course, good managers are the glue that hold everything together, and that is the truth. Like, I'm the person that comes up with the ideas, but without people to carry them out and make them happen, it's absolutely no use at all.
Yeah.
Finding good managers is the most difficult task in business at all.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the tip then for finding, how do you find a good team?
Well, in Glasgow, it took a while. The manager that I have now, who's now the company manager and oversees Nailco, is amazing, and she is so much more like, she's just so dedicated to it. Like, I question even more than me sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
she really, really is. Now, she was there when I bought the salon. She was one of the old members of staff, but she's young. Um, she's only in her early 20s, so um but I was 22 when I started my first business, so I don't think that matters. What matters is someone's like dedication and loyalty. And after going through a few managers who just weren't right for the job for various different reasons, she organically stepped up and took that role. Um, and I now have her, and she is fantastic, and she oversees the running of the company. But it took a while to get that. Now in Aberdeen, totally different story. The manager that I have there is the only manager we've ever had, the only manager that I hope we ever do have. She was just a perfect fit for the team. Me and Danielle, who's the company manager, we're quite highly strung and hot-headed and like emotional in everything that we do, positive and negative. Whereas Gemma, who's the Aberdeen manager, she's very chilled. So it's a really good balance, and I think that's important as well, like a good balance of people.
Yeah.
If Danielle and Gemma were constantly like fighting against each other with their strong opinions, that could be a disaster. So I think it just takes time. Sometimes you're lucky and you get someone straight away, like I did with Gemma. Sometimes you have to go through a few people, like I had to, and then I got Danielle, but it was worth it in the end.
Yeah.
It's a tough one, but when you are expanding and you're talking about more than one site and you're talking about growth, you can't do it on your own. You need people there to help and support you, and I couldn't do it without them.
And the interview process, do you carry them out, or do you
be
very much involved?
I do, like when it comes to managers, but again, like I'm terrible in an interview, and like whenever I've done interviews like with my other business and for Nailco as well, like Danielle particularly like gets annoyed with us because I just go off track. I get a vibe from someone.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just kind of more like, right, I don't want to talk about this. Like, I think I like you, so tell us why you would be good for this. Like,
yeah.
I'm just kind of more like instinctive.
Yeah, I quite like that. I would probably be more like that, I think.
Yeah.
Because there's only so much that you can read off a CV about somebody as well, though, isn't there?
I think it is, like, obviously job interviews are a nerve-wracking experience.
Yeah.
But you can tell from people, like, for me, it also depends on what kind of style you're going for your brand and salon. Like for me, I believe that you can be professional but friendly and like kind of like a chatty vibe at the same time, like with everything, like our website, our social media, everything, like it's written as if it's just someone having a conversation, because I'm like that. Now I can be professional and I can, you know, be a bit more corporate if I ever need to be, but I don't think people think like success and that go hand in hand, but I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
So it depends who and what you're looking for your brand as well.
Yeah, of course. So we touched a bit obviously at the start that you've got collaborations with big brands like Topshop. So maybe explain, how does your salon get in there? How did that opportunity come?
Like, who even knows the answer to that? It was mad, right? So it was March, April last year. And I think we'd had a really busy week. So by this point we had like the Glasgow salon, the Aberdeen salon. We had a really busy week. It was a Friday night and Danielle was like repeatedly phoning us and I was just ignoring her, and she was like, listen, I know you're ignoring us, but pick up the phone, like you're going to want to hear this. So I was like, oh, what is it? I'm just about to have me dinner. And she was like, Topshop have phoned us and asked like if we'd be interested in an opportunity within their Edinburgh store. And I was like, okay, like what kind of opportunity? Because I was thinking, you know, when people do like pop-ups or like things like that, I thought. And she was like, well, basically the impression that I got from this was that they want us to open a salon inside of their store. And I was just like, I just couldn't really grasp what was going on. I found it particularly confusing because one of our biggest competitors, another really successful salon, NAF, who I'm sure you've heard of, they were working inside of Topshop in Argyle Street at the time.
Yeah.
So I was even more confused.
I've not even thought of that before. No.
Yeah. So, well, that's why I was like, have they got the wrong people? Maybe they meant to like get in touch with them and say, oh, do you want to expand? So anyway, we went for a meeting and it was right. They did want us to do that. So that was within the Edinburgh store. Now, the Edinburgh store still hasn't opened because the Edinburgh store is basically the size of a full salon. It's their old fitting room, one of the old fitting rooms, so it's massive. So it's a listed building on Princess Street, so like to move a pipe from here to there is like a 4-month process. So it was a right carry on. But anyway, everything finally got approved. The builders were in, the salon was completed. The opening date was the 23rd of March 2020, which is the day we went into lockdown. So that still isn't open, but it will be as soon as we're out of this. But so anyway, we went and had the meeting. The negotiation started about that. At the time, this same sort of time, coincidentally, NAF had decided, because they have like a separate sister company which is products, cuticle oils. So the owner of NAF salon had decided that the time had come for her to put, as I was saying before, like you can't literally do everything, so for her to put her energy into that. So they were going to withdraw their concession in Topshop, move it back into their salon because they'd moved into a bigger premises, keep it there. So they just had the one salon, and then she could go and focus on NAF stuff, the product range. So that was what happened. So then she recommended us for taking over the Argyle Street one. So then we ended up in Argyle Street before Edinburgh. But yeah, they contacted us, which we just thought was...
How crazy. Were you not like, what is going on?
Yeah, like I didn't believe it. I thought it was like, I did think it was crazy, but I thought it was even more crazy because they were already working with NAF. So I was like, well, why would they not just ask NAF? But obviously I then found out it was because Tammy was like her passion, and she does a lot of like podcasts and interviews and stuff with people, and she's very open about the fact that like she started doing like DIY nails, I think it was called, and it was like nail decals and things like that. So products were her background, and that's kind of like where she wanted to focus the expansion. So that was how it came about. So yeah, just a lot of things aligned for different people at the right time, I suppose.
Yeah, that's so good. So social media is a big part, obviously, in your company. Do you believe that that's a big thing in business today, and that's how you stand out, or?
I think it is important for every business. I really do. Do I wish it wasn't? Maybe, but it is, and that's the time that we're in. So you've just got to get on with it, haven't you? Like that's what's required. So we are like very active on social media, and we do our best to try and like stay current and engage in like popular culture as well as just things about nails. My like the vibe that I always wanted for Nailco was, it was just like a friendly place to come and get a great service in a beautiful environment, but like it was just about like having a chat and like friendliness. And because I know that the beauty industry sometimes like has this association with like, you know, it's like bitchy or whatever, and like that's just not, it's never been like a vibe that I wanted to engage with or be known for, and Nailco isn't at all. Like our clients are from 16 to 65. Like we get a full range of different clients. I've forgotten what the actual question was, and I don't know why I'm telling you.
Basically just about how important do you think social media is then?
Oh yeah, sorry, that's right. Yes, it is. It is super important, and I think there's an opportunity for everybody to become better at it as well, because there's so many like masterclasses and courses and things like that out there. And for some people, I know it is like, oh God, like it's a difficult thing, but it is a part of business. And I'm in the process of starting another new business now, and already I'm thinking, I don't even have the products, I don't have like any of the stuff, but I'm like, right, well, what's this, how we're going to run the social media, like how's it going to look like? It's a fundamental part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like how will the Instagram look, what will the vibe be, how will we use it? And it is such a powerful tool. But again, I think people are very caught up on like followers, like how many followers do you have, but the whole point in having your Instagram is to create business.
Yeah.
So it's not about how many followers you have, it's about like who's on there, who's engaging with you, and how many of those people are actually going to spend money with you.
Yeah, of course.
So I think people get kind of caught up in that, like, oh, I need to have as many followers as I can. But like it's all well and good, like people in London showing each other pictures of nails you've done, but they're not going to come to Glasgow to get them done. So it's so important to be aware of that as well. Like it's not all about the numbers, it's about the engagement and actually converting that into money, which is the point in having a business in the first place.
Yeah, of course. I think with obviously the pandemic going on, there's been a lot of more online courses, and I think loads are being on social media. Would you recommend courses for people like them?
Absolutely. I think learning and knowledge is power. It's funny because the older I get, the more I realise I don't know. When I was 22 and I started Violet Ink, I was like, I don't need to do that. Like, I know exactly what I'm doing. And it's funny, I cringe about it now. But I think you just need to learn. You constantly need to learn. And sometimes learning is a case of actually just confirming to yourself, oh, well, I didn't know that, so I'm on the right lines. It doesn't always need to be going and learning something new. It's just about like exposing yourself to things and keeping it fresh. And just even like, I can read something and one sentence sticks with me and I think, right, yes, and that'll spur us on for whatever. But I think being open-minded and willing to learn, it's crucial.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So younger Jade, I know 22, you started the first business, but like growing up in school, did you always think business? Like, were you interested in business, owning your own business?
I don't think so. This was one of the questions that I was like thinking about, and I was like, I've always been very strong-minded. So anything that I've wanted to do, I've always focused on it. Like, I'm an all or nothing type of person, and I definitely was like that when I was young. But I don't really think, like, for example, when I moved to Aberdeen and I started Violet Ink, I did not think, oh, I'm going to grow this I didn't think that. It wasn't on my radar. So that would lead me to answer your question in terms of, no, I don't think I was.
No.
I don't think that was on the agenda. I loved my job as a shot girl. It was the best thing ever because you got paid money to talk to people. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is appalling. Like, it's the best. And then I started that business and I just thought I was going to be working in a few bars in Aberdeen, and that was how it was going to be. And then things just kind of organically rolled like that. On the other hand, my dad and my stepmom, who my dad moved to Aberdeen when I was 9, so me and my sister would go up there like every second weekend. And my dad and my stepmom had several of their own businesses over the years, and I was always exposed to like chatting about that. So like on a night time when we'd finish the day, would all sit round and my dad and Mandy would be talking about the business or what was going on, and like they would ask for our input as well. Right. So I was always kind of like exposed to that type of lifestyle, because I don't think owning a business is a job. Like, it's definitely a life. Yeah. And I was always exposed to that. And like, they had like a soft play company. So let's say I was like 12, 13, my sister's 11, my stepbrother was 10, 11. And we would have to go and like lug these big bouncy castles around and set them all up and take the money off people coming in. And like, we're just kids ourselves, but we were like involved in that. My dad also had like a fish and chip van. So I would have to go out with him and do that, like take the money off people and make the boxes. And so I was always constantly exposed to like new different business things all the time, and that has to have had an effect.
Like growing
up. Like growing up and being exposed to that. So I think subconsciously it was just always being like, you know, given to me or taught to me, but I didn't necessarily think, oh, I'm going to go and use that. But then the more and more life goes on, things pop into my head from years ago and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, right. So it was just kind of that.
So I'm assuming you wouldn't have ever wanted to work for somebody then if you've lived, you know, with your dad like that.
Yeah, like obviously so I've had a job since I was like 15. My first ever job was Topshop, which was really like cool when Topshop like approached us. I was like, oh my god, like that is really cool. But I worked in Topshop and I worked in River Island. I worked in like the Co-op for a little bit. I had a couple of bar jobs, and then I became a shot girl. And then I left uni to start my shot girl business. So I've worked for myself, and I've never had a full-time job where I've worked for somebody else. But I think different, like people are different, aren't they? And I probably could have gone and worked for someone else full time. Now, knowing like how like the life that I've had in terms of like making all of the decisions and doing all this like fun and exciting stuff over the last however many years, I don't think I could do it now, because I would find it tough that I wasn't the one who was getting to make those decisions. I would find that really difficult. But I could have done it years ago. I was at university studying law and I wanted to be a solicitor. So that was what I wanted to do. So obviously that would have been working for someone, and that was my plan until I decided that the shop girl life was for me.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's a different life altogether.
I know. So like that was the goal. Like the goal was to go and work for, so it wasn't that I didn't want to do that. Like I did want to do that when I was following that path, but when like life took me in a different direction, then it didn't happen. So because people always ask me that, they're like, oh, like, so did you always want to work for yourself, and did you? I'm like, no, I didn't. Like it's not that I didn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
I just like it just never really came up. I don't know, I was just going with the flow.
So how important do you think a positive mindset is then in success?
It's the most important thing. Like the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's also, and I hate saying this, but it's also such a difficult thing to maintain all the time. Now, like the universe would tell me that it's difficult because I think it's difficult. No, it's difficult because it is. And like life comes and you're having a great day and something, and then like you're smacked in the face by something at 3:00 in the afternoon on a Wednesday, and you're like, right, I didn't see that coming. So yeah, like especially when you own a business, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So you're constantly faced with things all the time, and you're like, okay, I need to be positive, but it's the most important thing, like being positive and being able to visualize. Now, I think you can break down being positive. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the time maybe I'm not acting, speaking, or being that positive, but in my head I know that there is no way on this planet I'm giving up.
Yeah.
I might not feel positive, but I know that I'm gonna have to do it anyway. Yeah. Like my belief in myself or my belief in my ability to overcome things never falters ever. Yeah. But sometimes when you're trying your best and you're doing everything you can and things still aren't working out, it's really hard to just be like, well, I'm still going to be positive because you're human.
Yeah, cool.
But I think you have to be maybe not positive. You have to be able to visualize, and you have to be able to see the end goal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that's the most important thing, really, like being able to like see a plan, and no matter what's coming along, don't let it knock you off that path.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think the whole positive, it can be broke down. I think we all have bad days. I think you just need to not let it go into bad weeks and months, and that's where people can go wrong, I think.
As well, for me anyway, because I know that I need to be positive, and because I know that that is the key to success, mm-hmm. when I'm not, it hits us harder, because not only am I feeling negative about what I'm feeling negative about, I'm then giving myself shit because I'm thinking, well, you shouldn't feel like that. Yeah. So then it's a double whammy. And then I think, well, because you're feeling like that, you're just going to get more of it. You're just going to make this worse for yourself. And then, it's just so difficult. But I like over the years, I've gone in and out of different things. But at the moment, the last like year or so, I've been working with a girl called Megan McGrory from Unlock the Key. And the Key basically is like a health and wellness program. And it teaches you all about your mind, how to use your mind, the creation process, like meditation. And one of the big things that they teach that has helped me is like they do something called checking and matching. So they basically say that when you like think a thought and you start believing it, you feel it. So when you start feeling that thought, the universe checks in with you and matches what you're thinking and just gives you more. And it doesn't matter whether it's positive or negative. So if I'm thinking this is not going to work, this is not going to work, this is not going to work, and I'm getting myself all anxious about it, and I'm thinking, so then I feel it more. Yeah. The universe is then saying to me, okay, some more of that. So
that's funny. I'm trying to read it all. I'm not the greatest reader. I like more podcasts like this, or like just listening to things. But have you read that book, Ask and It Is Given? That's more of a positive thing.
No, I haven't read that one.
That's all about that. It's basically they kind of say about your vibrations and things.
Yeah.
And that if you put out that, then you're going to get more of that negative energy. And I'm like,
I know. And it's tough hearing that, because you're then like, oh well, I've knackered myself here, like I'm gonna, and it's hard. But I think like I say, I think the saving grace for me when I haven't been able to maintain a positive mindset that I know I should have is my work ethic, because no matter what, nothing is going to stop me from doing what I want to do. And even if, you know, I would never ever, if I was having a bad day or something bad happened, I would never like renege on a work responsibility and be like, I can't be bothered to do it. Like I have to, it's do or die for me.
Yeah.
So that I think kind of gets you through, because when you force yourself to do something, you then start feeling more positive again and you can pull yourself out of it.
Yeah, of course. So do you have any mentors? I know you were just saying there that you're part of that, but and how important is mentorship, do you think?
Um, I think that the older that I get, the more I realise it's important. When I was younger, it would have been lost on me because I just thought I knew everything.
Yeah.
And that worked for me for a period of time, and that was fine. But in terms of like business life, when you're starting out and everything's going well and you haven't had to deal with any of the not so great stuff yet, you have this like you're totally unaffected by people's like negative vibes or any, because you're just so like, well, everything's great for me, nothing bad ever happens, so I know what I'm doing and I'm fine. But then like life gets in the way and things happen, and I've found from that, that's when I've then needed help from other people, like an outside perspective, to help me rebuild and refocus.
Yeah.
So for me it is so important now. And I'm doing I've done stuff with Megan for a while, but during I won't drop the C bomb, but the the pandemic, basically we've set up on Facebook like staff pages for Nailco and for Violet Ink, and we've been paying Megan to do sessions every week with the two separate teams. So we've done like a 7-day mind detox together, we've done like meditation, like we've done all sorts with Megan, and it's really helping me knowing that like I'm helping through Megan like help everybody else.
Yeah.
So I do think it's something that's important. But I think in terms of like business mentorship, it's not, I've never really had a mentor, to be honest. Would I have liked one? Would I like one now? Probably, yeah. But I think for me, because I put a lot of pressure on myself and I'm terrible for it, I would maybe feel a bit like, oh God, well, I'm never going to be able to do like what that person's done, and it might put me off.
Yeah.
But that's just my own daft.
I suppose I think the positive in a mentor is that you are held accountable, but then if you already have loads of pressure on yourself anyway, that maybe added pressure is just.
I think really like a good mentor, like for example, in years to come, I would love to mentor someone, and I would be able to like relate to them and be like, listen, this is not going to be like a walk in the park, like bad, and all of those feelings and stuff. Like if they were saying to me like, you know, I don't think I'm doing well enough, I'd be like, oh my God, like you are. But I would also be able to understand how it feels. Feel like that. Now, just going back to what you said about social media before, I deleted my social media account, or stopped using it in May last year, because I felt like for me as an individual it was just no use. I was just like looking on there, and within 5 minutes I was thinking, oh my God, like everybody's business is better than mine, like I'm not doing a good job, people hate what I'm doing, that looks better, like it was just so much pressure. So I think finding a mentor that can help you in the right direction is great, but make sure that it's probably the right person, because someone that's like makes you feel under pressure, that's not good for your aura, like it's not.
Yeah, of course. That's crazy that you've came off social media because of that.
I just couldn't hack it, like, and I was thinking, I would see things like, say I'd followed, you know, like there's like all these like boss babe Instagram things, and they put quotes on, and some of them are great, but I remember seeing one that said, work like someone's working 24 hours a day to take it away from you, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't cope with this. That was like the final straw for me, and I was like, I don't need this shit, like I don't need it, I don't need to see that, like, and that's meant to like motivate you, but it filled me with fear.
Yeah.
And then that was when I realized like
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Because some of them are great, and I love the wee quotes when it's all happy vibes. But see, when you see things like that, and it's sort of along those lines, and it's like when you're a business owner, you work 24. And I know that we do work loads when you own your own business and you want to build it up, but you don't need to work every
No,
minute. Like you shouldn't feel bad because you're not. Maybe you know.
no, you're 100% right. So see, when I was young, like I'm still young, but when I was younger and I first started off, I genuinely thought I had to work like 80, 90 hours a week. And if I didn't, I wasn't working hard enough. I don't even work a quarter of that now,
Yeah.
but I work a lot smarter. Like, I think I worked for the sake of like, oh, well, I'm still at work, I'm still working. Well, the proof's in the pudding at the end of the day. So, like, for example, just a daft little thing, I very rarely send long text messages because I just think it's a waste of time. I voice note instead. It
Mhm.
takes less than half the time. So, like, I'm just kind of more effective in my use of like distributing my time now,
Yeah.
because you would see things like that and you think, oh God, well, they're doing more, or and maybe I'm not. And it's so debilitating, because you can have had a great day, you've been dead productive, and you can spend 10 minutes on Instagram and you can find someone who's done twice as much, cleaned the house, they've done 2 workouts, and they've just they've just booked a holiday all in the same day you have, and you think, oh well, I thought I'd done well.
I know that like business related is worse, because see when people are like, I've done all the house, I've stripped all the beds, I've done this, I've what, I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's tough. And like, I just found, like, for me, I'm very confident in my ability to get things done, because when I set my mind to something, I do it every time without question.
Mm-hmm.
But on the inside, I'm not as like resilient as that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that you need to be like careful what you expose yourself to, um and what you let affect you, because social media, although it's such a great thing for businesses, it's also can be quite a negative thing for individuals, I think. So I just said goodbye to mine. I've got Nailcos, but even sometimes I have like a little break from that. So I deleted it on Thursday last week until Monday, because I was like, oh, I just don't
Yeah.
want to see it for a while.
Mm-hmm. Of course. So good success was that you have been nail bar of the year a few times, isn't it? Before.
Yeah, which was great. Like, and the first time was very unexpected as well. Um, it's really great. It is really, really great to win those sorts of things. Um, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant like accolade for any business to have. And I think it's really important for like individuals as well. Like, you know, when like people win like lash tech of the year and nail tech of the year and things like that, like that's amazing for them. Do I think that it helps you get more business? No,
No.
I don't think it does necessarily. Um,
Sometimes I think it's with some of the awards, I think sometimes it's good within the beauty industry, but I don't know how many clients really look at them, you know, awards and stuff.
yeah, I think and it's great. It's great for like when we've won things. Like I say, if it was an individual, it must be such a great feeling for them because it's just them.
Yeah.
And like for us, when we've won things like as a team, it's been great for the staff because they're part of that team. So it is good for things like that, but they're expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Expensive to attend a lot of these things, especially for people who are maybe just starting out.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't think it's something that people need to pressure themselves about. It's brilliant just to be nominated.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Totally. So is that, do you set yourself little goals like that, or the girls, do you kind of
Um,
aboard?
I would say at first, yes. Now, no. Now, if I'm being totally honest, I think well, let's phrase this a different way. Now I think of Nailco as a business.
Yeah.
Like, and now I think, is this going to bring in more money? Is this going to benefit us financially? Is this going to harm us financially? Is it worth the money? So those are the considerations that I now make. But that's because I'm looking at 4 salons. So
Yeah.
it's maybe different. Well, it is different how I thought when I had one.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Totally.
thought I was only going to have one for a couple of years or whatever. Now it's grown way faster than I thought. Now it was a huge deal to us when it was just one salon. Because actually, in actual fact, all of the awards we've won was when we just had one salon. So
Oh,
since then we haven't like gone to any award things or anything like that.
yeah.
Because also for me a consideration was, right, okay, so like a table at one of these events can cost you like $2,000.
Mm.
So I'm like, if we're going to go to one in Glasgow, do I then need to go to one in Aberdeen? And then and then it just, the cost of them spirals.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy expensive.
Yeah. Like if you think about, if you spend £2,000 on marketing or advertisement
Right.
elsewhere, it's arguably more beneficial for you. So I think I view it more like that. Like I view it more with my head than my heart now, and it was more with my heart at the start.
Yeah, of course. I get that. So where do you see yourself then and Nailco and obviously your other companies as well in 10 years' time?
I don't know.
It's a hard question.
That's a hard question. Now, just bigger, all bigger and more. Just, I want to be, so in 10 years' time, I'll be 41. That I always said by the time I was 40, I wanted to have 5 solid streams of income, like 5 different businesses.
Mhm.
Now, that seems a lot. And like people might hear that and think, oh my God, like I could never do that. I started when I was 22. So I'd have had 20 years to
Yeah.
do that. That's a long time. Um, but I guess I just want all of the businesses to continue to like grow and flourish and, you know, continue the way they have, or if growth isn't an option for them, maintain and evolve within themselves. Do my view to like how many salons I want to open and what I want to do now is very different to how it was a year ago. Like this time last year, I was like, I want to have 10 salons open in the next 5 years. I don't want to do that anymore.
Right.
So
Where
I
do you
think,
think changes came then? Where?
because the truth of the matter is it's really hard.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's tough.
Mhm.
And there's so much to contend with, and like if we're going to get into the nitty gritty of it, like tax is a huge issue. And for businesses, like beauty businesses aren't designed to be on this huge scale where they're then having to pay the same level of taxation that these huge like corporate companies are.
Yeah.
Now, if we continue down the path we're on, like that's the category we're going to end up in. And by the time you've done that, you would have been better off having 2 salons because you would have made more money.
Yeah.
But then you're taking on all that extra grief and responsibility. Yes, of course, you're building a brand, which is something that's like not to be, you know, overlooked or thought, oh, well, it's a huge thing to do that. But I just think, to summarize where the differences come from is finally, because I'm so emotional and so passionate in everything that I do, I can't be guided other than like how I feel normally. Whereas I would say the last sort of year or so, I've tuned more into like, right, well, that might be what you want, but is it the best thing to do?
Mhm.
So I've started listening to that more. Yeah. Whereas normally I'm just like, I don't care, I'm doing it, it's gonna be great. And it
Yeah.
always is. But then afterwards I'm like, oh, I don't know if that was the most sensible thing to do.
That's funny.
Maybe maturity is the answer. Maybe I'm finally getting it. Don't know.
Well, it could be with attitude and stuff like that. Like you were saying when you were younger, you were just kind of you would throw into things, like take a step back.
Yeah.
Good. So I have two last questions to end on. So what is your best and most worthwhile investment you've made?
Mm.
There'll be a lot for you, to be fair.
It's a really, really hard question. And I think I'm not thinking like monetarily, like what's the best thing you can invest your time in is yourself. And it sounds like so cliche, but is yourself. Like how do you feel? Like are you feeling the way you want to feel? Is your life going in the way you want it to? Like they're the most important things, because I always find as well, like people set goals in their head like, oh, well, when I have that I'll be happy,
Yeah.
or when I have that when I get to that, that'll be it. And then for me, like I'll get to that point and I'm like, oh well, no, actually I want to do something else or whatever. And I think, right, well, why do you want that though? Like this is how I think now. I'm like, why? What's really going on here?
Yeah.
Like, because you want to go and have 10 salons, like why do you think that's going to make, how do you think that's going to make you feel?
Yeah.
And is there another way to make you feel like that? Like, I don't know, I think just investing in like yourself. Holidays, now I spend, seeing lockdown, obviously all of my businesses are closed and I'm not generating an income whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'm not that affected because it transpires that the only thing I spend my money on is holidays, and I can't go on them anyway. So, but I'm very like indulgent in that sense, in terms of like, I do take time for myself a lot, and I do prioritize that, and I love going away, and I love going to new places and like getting new inspiration and like healing and feeling like refreshed. So I just think when it comes to a business, ultimately, like, yeah, you might have a brand and that's what people see, but behind that is a person. So if that person is not like fit, well, healthy, mentally ready, it's game over. It's no use anyway.
Yeah.
So yourself and looking after yourself, and I go to like juice retreats and stuff and fitness camps, and just doing anything that I can to make sure that I feel good or healthy or better. And when I'm like that, then I can give the best version of myself to the businesses, which makes them better.
Yeah. That's a nice answer. I like that.
Yeah, what did you think I was going to say?
I don't know. I just thought people say like their salon or training, but yeah, I like that.
The thing is, like, ultimately, and this could be perceived as quite a negative way of thinking, but I don't mean it in a negative way. The only thing that is going to be with me for the rest of time is me.
Yes, love that.
It's true.
That is
So, so like, that has to be the most important thing to take care of, because that's the thing you're stuck with. You can sell your salons, you can say, right, I'm not doing this anymore, you can delete your Instagram, you can whatever, but you're still stuck with yourself.
yeah. Uh-huh.
So you need to make sure that that's a person that you actually want to be with.
Yeah, of course.
Am I glad to be stuck with this person 24/7? If the answer is no, then you've got to figure out how to make it better.
And no one can do that but you. So yeah.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
it's a process, and it's something that like you don't feel like, oh my god, like I'm so brilliant all the time. Far from it. But I think just being aware of how you feel, like,
Yeah.
you are the most important factor in anything when you own a business, because without you, it's not there.
Yeah. Love it. So, in the last 5 years, then, what's a new habit or belief that's changed your life? I think we've kind
Um,
of touched with the mindset.
like, I think the belief that I have that gets me through is that I'm capable of anything. Like, I actually have this. I'm going to show you. I've got little reminders that I set on my phone, and the second one down says, "I am capable of anything." So that is the thing. I think, like, so those little reminders flash up on my phone like throughout the day.
Yeah.
Um, but that is the belief. That is the belief that gets me through everything, because I think, right, well, at the end of the day, this is down to you. So are you going to let it? Are you going to let it fall to shit? Well, of course I'm not. Right. So go and sort it.
Yeah.
So that is what gets me through, like, no matter what. I feel like I've spoken like really negatively. Like, I hope I haven't come across like that. Like, I don't
I think you're more
I don't want to, yeah, like, I don't want to make it sound like it's all doom and gloom, because it's not. And trust me, like, there is nothing on the planet that could make me want to move away from the job that I have. Like, I love my job, and I love that I can work for myself and I can have all of these experiences. But along the line do come things that affect you. I had a big incident at the end of last year, which was by far like the toughest work related thing I've ever had to endure in my life, and it shook me to my core. It really, really did. And from then, I think I've learned a lot. That was only the end of last year, and it really, really, I don't know what it did, but it changed me, I
yeah.
think. But I got through that, and I know I can get through anything. So the belief that I do have and that I do stick with is that, like, no matter what, I'm capable. And the only way I'm not capable is if I decide that I don't want to do it.
Mhm. Yeah. That's good.
So
So
that
good.
is it. Like, I know I can do anything that I want to.
Mhm.
If I want to do it, that's the key.
Uh-huh. Yeah, like if you want to put your mind into it. Yeah. Love that. So where can people find, well, not you on social media, but I guess Nailco's Instagrams?
Yeah, so Nailco's Instagram is just at Nailco Nailbar. So you'll be able to find us there. Or if you just Google Nailco Nailbar Instagram, it'll come up. Yeah, but I don't have mine anymore. It's still there. Like
Yeah.
it's still like in existence. I actually I get emails from Instagram sometimes saying like such and such sent you a message, because some people might not realize I've deleted it.
All
And I
right.
went on to check my messages the other day, and it wouldn't let me reset my password, so I don't even know if I could get it back if I wanted to. So it's gone.
So go follow Nailco then. Just
Yeah,
something.
so Nailco. I make the odd cameo appearance on there, like not very often, but sometimes.
Mhm. Well, thanks so much again for giving your time today, Jade.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having a chat with me. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks.